name's Eliza Buckingham, and I'm going to be going over social skills for early and advanced learners. I just wanted to provide an overview for today's presentation. So I'm going to be going over some definitions, the background of social skills, the importance of social skills, and then specific examples for early learners and advanced learners. So for early learners, the skills that are focused on is tolerating peers in their space, greeting peers, giving and receiving items from peers, imitating play, so modeling with certain toys, and parallel play, just to name a few skills that we see often, but there's definitely other early learner skills that are taught in different settings, but these are the more common examples. And these skills are often taught in early childhood settings. So for advanced learners, they often have good social skills foundations. So they often have the skills that are being taught for early learners, but they do require more development for complex social interactions. So the skills that we're looking at here are staying on topic, initiating and maintaining conversations, interrupting someone appropriately, initiating play, keeping personal space, and taking perspectives of others. So we're thinking about, different emotions here and how they might comfort someone who is having a hard day. And again, that's just to name a few skills, but these are commonly what we see. And then so for behavioral skills training, this is a training package that commonly is used to teach skills in APA as well as in parent coaching. And this is what I'm going to be using today to describe how to teach certain social skills for early and advanced. So it includes 4 steps. So there's instruction, so that includes rationale, so why it's important and the many steps involved. Then modeling is the demonstration of the skill to the learner, both correct and incorrect examples. Rehearsal, so asking that learner to practice and giving them an example or a particular instruction to rehearse, and then providing them feedback, which is positive and corrective. And BST is a very successful model in practicing social skills and as well as teaching social skills, especially in the home. And this has been seen throughout research. So it allows your children to practice and feel comfortable because it's done in their own home and it's done with their parent as well. It's also straightforward steps for the parents to follow, and it's also easy to implement. So why are social skills important? Well, the development of positive social behavior is associated with improved academic skills and an increased quality of life. And often the lack of social skills that are seen is usually due to a restricted social learning opportunity. So they're only social in school, and school doesn't always happen year-round. They have that summer break, and sometimes children aren't able to attend school 5 days a week, or they're only able to see their friends a restricted amount of time. So that's kind of where we see that restriction, but there's definitely ways to change this by implementing these practices in the home. So some suggestions just from what I've seen in the research, many caregivers and parents had really high satisfaction with their child's increase in social skills, especially as a result of using BST. But when they were asked what they didn't like about the teaching was that the responses that their children gave were often lacking that authenticity because they were very rehearsed. So that's often caused by, having the same examples given or the same feedback given or the same instruction. So we can definitely change this when teaching our children social skills. So when teaching these social skills at home, try to have these natural conversations, and when modeling and even in feedback, try and provide different responses that they can use. We want a lot of variation because when we think about our social interactions, there's many different ways that we approach it, and not every person gets the same response every single day. So just think about that when you're teaching social skills as well. Okay, so I wanted to go into specific examples. So the first skill I would like to teach is sharing with peers. So this is for our early learners. So for the instruction, it's pretty simplistic. As mentioned in previous slides, you usually give a rationale for instruction, but for early learners, typically you only give them the instruction. You don't necessarily need to tell them why they need to share or they need to maintain personal space unless you feel it's appropriate. But just to make it very simplistic, I just provided the instruction, share your toys, or if they're having a hard time sharing, or if they want a turn, you can say my way. So, if you see them struggling with a toy or not wanting to give it back, you can say my way. And once they say my way, they can have more of a turn or they can have a turn. So you're reinforcing that appropriate behavior that you're teaching. Then for modeling, you can say, let's make a really tall tower and mommy is going to share with you. So that's a pretty basic instruction or way to introduce like, okay, I'm going to start sharing with you and this is what I want you to observe. Then for rehearsal, okay, it's your turn. Make sure that you're sharing with mommy. So again, making it very clear, it is your turn to start sharing with me and make sure that you're sharing with me. And then for feedback, good job sharing, or I'm feeling sad, can I have a turn? Making it very clear to them that they did a good job of sharing or they didn't. But again, providing that kind of sandwich for feedback. So you're doing positive, corrective, and positive. So try and make it as positive as possible, but again, correcting those mistakes. And when you're correcting them, just make sure that you're providing that feedback and then modeling again what appropriate sharing would look like. So for gaining attention, this is another example I wanted to go over for early learners. So the instruction could be, excuse me, or tap on the shoulder, or saying, hey, mommy, or hey, name, whatever we wanted to use. The different modalities here, it just depends on their skill level and what you feel they would be most comfortable with. The most important thing is that it is something that could be understood by more than just you. So if they're going into a school setting and they tap their friend on the shoulder, will that be understood as they want my attention? Probably, but it all depends on what you feel comfortable with and what you feel your child would be most comfortable with in learning. And you can obviously start with tapping on the shoulder and then moving into excuse me or hey mommy, especially if they don't have the vocal ability at the moment. Then for modeling, you can say mommy is going to get your attention so that we can play. And then you can do all three modalities. You can do just tapping on the shoulder, whatever you choose is appropriate, then that's appropriate for you. And then for rehearsal, okay, it's your turn. Make sure that you can get my attention so that we're able to play. So again, giving them, okay, it's your turn so that they know it's their time to practice. And then kind of giving them that rationale there, but making it simplistic enough where there's not too many words being used and it's getting confusing. And then for feedback, you can say, good job tapping my shoulder, good job saying, hey, mommy, or I didn't know you wanted my attention, or did you want to play with me? I didn't know. Making it clear, like, you're getting my attention so that we can play together and giving them that reason, like, hey, you need my attention in order for us to play. So making it very clear. And again, for error correction, if they don't necessarily understand or if they're having a hard time, giving them that feedback and then modeling again. Remember, this is how you can get my attention. Or, hey, right, okay. All right, so for initiating conversations, this is for our advanced learners. So the instruction is a little bit more complicated here because we are going to be using an instruction as well as that rationale. So we didn't really provide the rationale for early learners. We did throughout the example, but I think for advanced learners, they already know, the basics like we were kind of mentioning. So this is kind of, and some of these skills, it could be hard to understand why it needs to be done. Like initiating conversations sometimes can be hard for them to understand, like, why do I have to go up to them or something like that. So it's important to provide that rationale. So, starting conversations shows interest. Watch how I start a conversation with you. Then the modeling, hey, how are you? Or hello, my name is, or I really like your hat. So these are all different variations, and make sure that you are providing many variations so that they're not just memorizing anything that you say, that they have all different ways of introducing themselves and initiating that conversation. And also, because we're initiating conversations, we're finding an appropriate way to start a conversation, but we should also probably provide them an appropriate way to end the conversation as well. So this can be done a little bit later in teaching, but we want to make sure that we're giving them that way out as well that's appropriate. So they might be doing a really great job of starting the conversation now that you've taught them, but then they don't know how to leave, which can lead to inappropriate things as well. So nice to talk to you or something like that. And then for rehearsal, you can say, okay, let's practice, start a conversation with me. Simple as that. And then feedback, so great job starting a conversation with me, or, remember to introduce yourself, something like that. So when you are talking in a conversation, you kind of know what you're looking for. If you didn't catch their name, that might be something to mention, or, if they weren't looking in your general direction, that might be something to mention. It's just specific things that you're looking for when you have a conversation with someone. And the feedback that you provide for this is a little bit less cut and dry. It's more what you understand as appropriate in a conversation. So, remembering to introduce yourself, not necessarily eye contact, but looking in their general direction, showing interest, that kind of thing. And then if you find they're not understanding it, again, providing that feedback and then modeling again how to initiate a conversation. So, good start. Let's just let me show you again how to initiate a conversation and then go from there. All right, and then the final topic I wanted to discuss was staying on topic. So again, this is for advanced learners. So the instruction, staying on topic is polite. I want you to talk about Thor, or whatever you want them to actually talk about. But you can say, but first I'm going to talk about, or you can talk about whatever you want, and I want to stay on topic. So giving them the idea of what you are going to be talking about later, and what you want them to do, but still providing them that instruction of the rationale. So yeah, for modeling, talk about any topic that you would like and watch how I stay on topic. Like whatever they're talking about, I'm staying on that topic. Then for rehearsal, okay, it's your turn. I want you to stay on the topic of Thor. So you've already introduced it in the instruction, so bring it back. So remember, I want you to stay on the topic of Thor. So now it's your turn. So I'm going to talk about Thor and you have to stay on the topic. And then feedback, great job staying on topic, or, let's try it again. You did a really good job of staying on topic for a little bit, but I would like you to stay on topic for a little bit more time, or you didn't really seem interested. There could be all different ways, again, of providing feedback, and it's kind of situational. There's not really a cut and dry way of providing feedback because every situation is going to be different. Every topic is going to be different. So just use how you generally conduct a conversation and what you're looking for, and teach them those things. And again, if they're having trouble, provide them that feedback, and again, model what you're looking for. So that is the examples that I wanted to provide. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of background just for reinforcement. So, it's important to reinforce the behavior that we do want to see and not to reinforce the behaviors that we are not looking for. So for example, they don't gain your attention, you don't reinforce it. So if they're not appropriately touching your shoulder saying, hey, mommy, but they're doing inappropriate ways of gaining your attention, or they're knocking on the floor, doing things that aren't typically what we're looking for, or something that you did not, teach, don't reinforce it. It could be tempting, but, you want to can create this contingency that if you do the appropriate behavior in the way that I taught you, I will provide you that attention. Same with sharing toys. Anything that you're teaching, don't reinforce it if it's not what you're looking for. But you can definitely remind them. So especially when they're first learning the skill, they might not remember to share because they don't usually share. So say, hey, remember to share with me, or remember to tap me on my shoulder so that I can play with you. Give them those reminders, because it will be hard to teach the skill if they're not accessing any reinforcement. So give them kind of those freebies if you find they're not understanding it. And again, error correction is providing that feedback in the modeling as well. So the prerequisite skills that you would need is to follow their lead. The motivation is key. You know, if they don't want to play with you, they won't be open to learning the skill. And you want them to be interested, and you want them to be able to be open to learning. So you need to have that motivation there. So if they're playing with you, use that motivation. You're already playing with them, they're already having so much fun. Kind of bring it into a natural teaching moment. So that moves me into my next point, is to use natural teaching. So do it in the home, or while out at the mall, or on the playground, wherever it happens naturally. That is what we want to see, because if you're doing it at very contrived moments, like, okay, let's sit at a desk and do it this way every time, or you're only doing it at the home, that's where it kind of gets difficult to generalize to other settings. So they might not be able to do it without you, or they might not be able to do it outside of the home, for example. And then resources. So I did provide a link down here for PBS Kids for Parents, and it's all about social skills. And there's also specific shows listed on the bottom that discuss social skills as well. So on top of what you're already going to be doing, you can provide them examples of what good social skills looks like in media, and plus they get to watch TV. All right, so some important takeaways is make sure that you're providing feedback, including both positive and constructive comments. Try and make it like a sandwich, so positive, constructive, positive. Model that skill first before allowing them to practice. Change up the different variations or responses that you use, and help to build skills during fun play. Engage with items that they really love and follow their lead. Thank you very much.